Hey everybody, Max here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Crimson Shadow Infantry figure from Valaverse. This is a part of their Crimson Shadow Technologies subline. It's part of Series 5 and is number 11 in the wave. I got this guy on sale during their Memorial Day sale. It's a part of the Wounded Warehouse. The reason this guy was wounded is not because of any physical defects, although there are some QC issues here that I'm going to talk about. Not as major as some of the other issues I've talked about, particularly with my Recon Corps Trooper, but it's mainly wounded because the blister card was not completely adhered to the card back, and as a result, it could potentially come loose and the figure come out, or the parts get lost in transit, what have you. So Valaverse just decided we'll put it in the wounded warehouse, we'll knock a couple of bucks off of it. They guaranteed that the figure is okay and you're going to get everything, but just to kind of recognize that there's a problem, they want to try to make everybody aware of it and to give some kind of remedy. Got this guy along with two of the new Steel Brigade convention exclusives. They were also in the Wounded Warehouse. And then I got a Swarm Tracer. Bobby Valla hasn't done anything with the Swarm in a few years, and I was kind of intrigued by the one that glows in the dark because that's the only one that's left. So those are videos that I'll be working on soon, so be on the lookout. Let's talk about this guy, dive into the accessories as we normally do. He has the this flat gray peg stand. I do like the Crimson Shadows logo, very G.I. Joe-esque. However, that logo, being G.I. Joe-esque, and yet in Cobra Red, I kind of imagine this guy being more of a like a human commander for like a battalion of Crimson Bats, or maybe like a squad officer for a squad of Crimson Alley Vipers or something. The Reds don't quite match up, but so what? These are all figures that I quite like, and so I may paint over this guy and put a little Cobra decal on him. But let's see, so we got the pretty cool stand. So you got two heads. There we go. Light and dark. Good paint all around. Nothing we haven't seen before with this particular series. Comes with this cool, I do like this little short barrel rifle here. Has pretty sturdy pistol brace, faux suppressor on it, dropout magazine. Usual stuff that we've seen from Valaverse. This is, we're continuing to see Sidewinder's loadout. So we have his vest, belt, pistol, suppressor, and all the grenades. So he comes with 3 either gas grenades or concussion grenades, and then 3 fragmentation grenades. So, and they fit into the pouches like so. There's little slots in there, I think. If you line it up, and it should fit securely. The only problem, there are no hands specifically designed to hold these things. So getting to the hands, we have, the typical trigger finger hands and like cupping hands, right? Now they will fit in the cupping hands, those grenades, but they will not retain it. So unfortunately, trigger finger hand. So what you could do is, what I'm going to do is take the C-grip hands, and I'm going to heat them up, and I'm going to open them up and wrap them around the grenade so I can have grenade holding hands. And then of course he comes with 2 fists. So nothing we have not seen before. Like I said, he comes with Sidewinder's pistol. I really wish we had gotten something different. This is probably designed to fit specifically in the holster of Sidewinder's, but I don't really care for how it's positioned on the, I think it's great that it pegs out. You can do that. It's a great belt, don't get me wrong. Where it's positioned and trying to take, and this is really, comes with a suppressor. That suppressor fits in there very snugly. Goes in there like that. And be careful with that suppressor peg. This one at least, it's so stiff you may bend it. I actually had to heat up I couldn't get the pistol into the holster. I had to heat up the belt to get it the plastic soft enough so, and then put the pistol in the hopes that it would retain its shape after it cooled off. It's still fairly hard to get in and out. It is a cool, very cool firearm. It's a 2011 with like flared magwell and red dot sight and a light on the front and the port for blast effects and or a suppressor. It's really cool. It's just very specifically designed for Sidewinder because it's silver. You have the scales, kind of snake scales. So it just seems like, why are we seeing this particular pistol with everything right now? This particularly with the more generic army builders. So I would have preferred something different if at all possible. But of course, they couldn't just like pull this particular holster off and glue something else. This is all designed, it's all one piece. So it is what it is. But I would have preferred something different because there's so many different firearms that they could have used. But at any rate, it's still a good belt, lots of design. It's all black plastic, belts and pouches and holders and things like that. And it pegs on very easily, comes off easily. It's very secure, so that's very cool. The helmet, I really like this new helmet, and I do like the color of red in the black. It's all black plastic, but then red highlights, and I really like the shade of red that they picked. So if you've seen my other videos, this helmet is definitely better designed than the previous iterations. The holes are better. Anything that you fit into there will work. It's more secure. Since she has his mask, and that works really well. It fits in very well. It's just really cool. And unfortunately, we still have these new collapsible or folding quad nods. However, the post is still too big, too long, but it does fit in there and it flips up just like that. This one probably needs to be heated up too because one of them is just a little warped, but it is cool. One thing about the head sculpt, kind of getting into the QC issues, the eyes, they kind of, typically the paint's really good, but it kind of botched a little bit on the eyes. The white is not completely filled in, and the brown of the eyes is not completely there. Just very faint, and just doesn't look as well as some of the other heads of this variety that we've gotten so far. Now, I will say this in terms of the darker skin. This guy has darker skin than the Recon Core Trooper, but you can tell the Recon Core Trooper has better eyes. But everything else, the paint of the camo looks really good. Don't get me wrong, it's really good. The tempo for the logo came out really well. Let's see, this is a really great vest. You know, comes on and off and has 3 magazines that you can take out. But like I said, it's I hope we start seeing something different. I don't want to see just this same one over and over again. I'm not a big fan of it. I would like to see I'd like to see them repurpose Senshi's vest with other figures. I think that would have been great for this guy. Now maybe that's considered more of a Steel Brigade kind of thing, but come on, you know, just recolor it and put this logo on it. I think that would have been a better option. So that would have been my choice. I think that would have worked really well with this figure. And I've got grenades falling out all over me. So the pouches adhere fairly well, except for this one. This one does not want to stay in there. So there's a little retention issue with regard to the grenades. Don't leave your grenades laying around, children. You could hurt someone. So yeah, there's some issues there. So I probably will take these off anyway because I just don't want to lose the grenades. But we'll see. We'll see. Okay, let's get into the articulation. Now he has this new floating neck system going on, and well, let's see. And then the disc hinge. Yeah, so he can look down that far. And then up that far, fairly stiff in the neck. He's got a stiff neck. He slept on the ground last night. And I think I've got the neck rotated around in the wrong way. So he looks up really well. That's great. And the early iterations of these Series 5 had a lot of a bit of a bobblehead, and this I feel like they've gotten that issue taken care of. It it does not wobble like, say, which one, like Senshi perhaps. Sidewinder might have had that issue. Um, these guys don't. The Maritime Trooper didn't have that problem. This one seems to be okay, but good rotation, some side to side, up and down, all the way around, and good neck. So where I started to have problems with articulation was in the shoulders. Now the arms go all the way around and they're just a tad bit loose, but that might have been because I had to heat this guy up, because I could not get him into a T-pose, because one thing, the upper shoulder has some extra material. I don't know if you can see how it's raised right there. And it makes it difficult for it to get into the shoulder, because the shoulder, the butterfly joint, I should say, is just a little too small to adhere to this big new shoulder here. So you either have to trim it down or do what I did, which was heat up the figure and got it in the position that I wanted it, and then let it cool off, and that caused the plastic of the butterfly joint as well as the shoulder to kind of be a little more malleable, and now it's in a better shape and makes it easier to get it into a T-pose. So I can get into a T-pose with a little less effort than when I initially got it. So it will get into T-pose. It has pinless joints, elbows and knees. It really stiff butterfly joints. The elbows, really good. Some of the other figures have had really loose joints. This guy feels stiff but not overly tight. One other QC issue that I had with this guy was right out of the box. I didn't notice it in the package, but the upper arm, the shoulder, and the bicep swivel here was not fully attached. It didn't fall off, but it wasn't on there all the way. So I had to heat it up and jam it back up there, and it's perfectly fine now. It just wasn't completely attached. So, which is something that I've heard before. Some people have complained about the Praetorian Guard or Elite Praetorian figures, the robots, having that same issue. The shoulder joints were a little malformed, and thankfully these guys were not. They were in good shape, just not completely attached. So elbows are pretty good. No floppy wrists like we saw with Senshi, so that's great to see that problem go away. Let's see, really good waist swivel. I mean, when you take the vest off, you get good diaphragm cut, and you just have to take the vest off. And the vest is not all that hard to get on and off. I think I might have actually gotten this guy back on without having to use my boil and pop method of taking the upper torso off, putting the vest on, and then while it's still warm, like putting the vest on, closing the tabs, and then putting the upper torso on the bottom torso. So that's my system if the vests are giving me problems, but not a lot of side to side. I'll talk pretty one day. Okay, now, again, paint is good all the way up and down. That's really cool. Now, what I had, another QC issue or something that I think is becoming an issue with these guys, with particularly these legs, is they're kind of loose right here in a neutral pose, right there. It's just kind of just a little too loose, and I wasn't even sure if this guy had drop down hips because they were so dang stiff that I heated the thing up and had to kind of work with it, and it's still crazy stiff. You can probably hear the plastic kind of squeak. And I've been working at it a little bit, but even on the left side, the hip joint's a little on the loose side. Now, I did take the legs off, and the ball pegs, the ball hinges are perfectly formed, not like the one that I had, the replacement legs from our Recon Core Trooper. If you saw that video, you know what I'm talking about. If you hadn't, check it out. So this guy, I was afraid I was going to have those problems, but you know, the legs are just a little too loosey-goosey, and the hip joints or the drop-down hips are a little too stiff. And I kid you not, I was afraid I was going to break it. So I made sure I warmed it up. But it does get really good range of motion now that it's kind of, so he gets a full split, and he does get beyond a 90-degree kick, which is great. So he can kick way high, so that's cool. It just looks a little weird when they're all the way down, but what can you do? It's still pretty good. It's still pretty good. Don't get me wrong. I definitely like Valaverse figures and the mechanics of them. Just Series 5 has been suffering a little bit. It's got a thigh cut that is very stiff on the right leg, so you may have to, again, even after I heated this guy up, it's still been a little sticky, a little stiff right there. So let's go ahead and get these off so I can demonstrate the knees. The legs are a little stiff still, even after I heated them up. So, but he's got good range of motion, kicks back pretty far, and I do like these new legs, the look of them, and where the boot cut is. It's more like a pant cut, so that you can have pants down or pants up stuffed into the boots. So that's pretty cool. I like that. There's a little discoloration or a difference in paint, a difference in color, red, because it's black plastic painted red as opposed to red plastic with gray and black over it. So there's some differentiation in the color, but I only really notice it under the lights. So, and then these new feet. So there's not much forward bend, back bend, and then rotation and everything. So anyway, this is not a problem that I'm going to, obviously, I don't think I would get a new one. I'm not going to ask for a new one. It's just kind of, on a whole, I mean, I'm probably gonna have to just, a lot of these drop down hips I just super glue them into a neutral pose, but I might have to use a little Mod Podge on the hips, and you may have to heat up the shoulders to get them to move into the butterfly joint so you can get a T-pose. So just be aware of that. On a whole, I really like the look of the figure, and I don't regret getting him. I hope that they get back to this series gets back to the standards, because I've up until Series 5 I've never had any issues with any of these figures. Oh, and let me show you one last thing. Let's get the package. Let me get that out of the way. So if you want to, it comes with 2 action points and then a file card. So if you want to pause the video and read the file card, feel free. Okay, so that is the Crimson Shadow Infantry. He's very much the same as the Recon Corps Trooper and the Maritime Trooper. Pretty good figures on a whole. Yes, there's been some issues with this particular series. I like the look of them and the designs and all that kind of stuff. I just would like to see some variability in the loadout and the weapons. That would be fantastic, but it is what it is. With a little hot water and maybe a little glue, you can fix any issues that you have. Thankfully, this isn't a figure that had, severe structural defects like my Recon Corps Trooper, so that's good. But I was a little hesitant, a little concerned at the beginning when I got this guy and started playing around with him. So I'm going to give him a warp factor of 8. Let me know what you think in the comments section. Do you have this guy? Are you passing? Did you take advantage of the Wounded Warehouse sale during Memorial Day? Feel free to like, share, and subscribe, and I will talk to you guys next time.